12 rounds, ding ding, sick and tired of...
Hey everybody, what's up? It's Nick Atkin on South China Morning Post. We're here for another episode of Post Fight Podcast. Probably the best one we've ever had yet, because I'm joined by Mathew Kwok and Audie Attar from Legend FC. Guys, how you doing?
Good.
Doing well. Thanks for having us.
Oh no, it's my honor. We got a big show in Macau, Legend 14, tomorrow night on Saturday. Is that right?
That's right.
I forget what day it is sometimes over Christmas, so I'm glad I got that right. Yeah. No, Audie, you just flown in from LA, is that right?
Yeah. I literally just landed about an hour or so ago, and
come straight here.
Had to freshen up a little bit.
Yeah.
Straight here to visit you and with the fans.
Well, you guys look very fresh. I feel pretty underdressed.
We feel that we probably overdid.
Yeah.
No. It's an honor to have you here. Let's talk about Legend. Big show. You relaunched this. It used to be a Hong Kong promotion. Now you're taking it to China, right?
Yeah, actually, so originally it was the Asia Pacific. So it was kind of a more broad Asia, focus. When Audie and I were talking back a couple of years ago about relaunching, we came up with the idea of, hey, let's launch this with a Greater China region focus. In order to develop the talent and display the talent that is present in this general area.
Yeah, I mean, what excited me, obviously, is I've known Matt, and I know of his production prowess and the level of and the quality that he brings to the table, and how Legend was produced previously. And then the history of Legend was that it produced not only the first Chinese fighter into the UFC, it had former champions like Robert Whittaker, great up-and-coming prospects and contenders like Dan Hooker, and so on. One of the things that what brought my attention to it was the fact that I represented Jingliang. And the Leech, obviously was a Legend alumni, and I saw an opportunity in creating a platform for Chinese athletes that didn't exist. There was a lot of promotions that were either focusing on the broader Asia region or trying to go global. And what we felt is that we could differentiate and provide a platform for these Chinese athletes where they could compete against the top athletes within their country to then develop them not only athletically, but give them a platform to develop their brand and hopefully move on to the bigger stage going forward.
And the Leech, he's back fighting again in March, is that right?
That's right, we just announced it.
It's
March
awesome.
7th.
Yeah, and you see, you've now got, I think, 3, there were 4, Yan dropped out the rankings, 3 fighters, Chinese fighters in the UFC rankings. It's just exploding, isn't it, in China and among Chinese fighters now, and we've got the Performance Center in Shanghai. How do you stand out, though, with UFC, with one championship in the region?
Yeah, sure. I mean, and I'll let Matt jump in here after I say this point, is that the sport of mixed martial arts is exploding globally, and there's no better place to look at that growth as we're experiencing now in China, right? So as you mentioned, not only the Performance Institute, but the rise of all these different fighters. What we wanted to do is differentiate. We felt that there was enough opportunity for everybody, right? Where ONE FC and UFC, as you just mentioned, as well as Bellator, as well as PFL, those are global promotions, and they have a broader approach to the market as opposed to just focusing on one area. We feel that China and Asia as a whole is booming in mixed martial arts, and we felt that there was a void within China to bring a premier globally recognized promotion that not only provides the best competition for the athletes, but provides the best platform for them to develop their brand and grow their brand. And so we felt that there was a big enough opportunity within China, not only as it relates to differentiating from a competition standpoint, but from a business and a value proposition standpoint, because as you look at everything that's going on, the one important thing that stays consistent is the value of content globally, and the most attractive content that exists is sports content. So we felt that providing a platform, a globally recognized platform, was not only going to serve the athletes well, but it was going to serve the growing appetite for this type of content within the region.
And if you look in China and you see the growth of the sport, I mean, there's gyms popping up all over the place. I mean, martial arts in general obviously is popular culturally, and sport-wise with Sanda and some of the other martial arts that are practiced within China. And I think the audience is really looking for high-quality competition, great content, good media, and exciting events. And I think that's really what we bring to the table for them. And then for the rest of the world, we're able to give them a peek inside exactly what happens in China, and some of these great athletes that Audie's talking about, being able to showcase them in a global stage.
Yeah, and does it help to have someone like Audie, who is the manager, obviously, of Conor McGregor, that the biggest MMA star in the world, I'd say. Having him on board to help bring some eyes, doesn't it?
One of the biggest things that I've always 100% respected with Audie and what he brings to the table is taking care of the athletes. I think a lot of the promotions end up thinking about management, and management's important and whatnot, but really, to be honest with you, the athletes are the most important, and he brings to the table how to take care of those athletes, and I think that's of key importance to us in general and our promotion in general, and so I think that brings a lot to the table.
Yeah. Give me a little bit more of the timeline of how it came together. When was this? It's all within recent.
This has been going. The relaunch has been, being discussed and planned for the last almost 4 years now.
For 5 years.
So we've been at it for some time, but we wanted to make sure we took our time, we did it right, we launched the right time. Again, when Matt first approached me, he was the original producer of all from Legend 1 to Legend 11. He approached me and oddly enough in Irvine, California, late night over some Szechuan spicy food and then hot pot subsequently thereafter. Yeah. So we really were trying to take our time and understand, okay, if we relaunch, how are we going to reposition the brand? What was it going to be? What was very important to us? As Matt mentioned to me, I was coming in from focusing on it being a fighter-centric promotion to make sure that we're empowering these fighters to not only develop them athletically, because you don't want to just match them up against a no-namer or someone that they were just going to smash. And that was something we saw within the region that was happening too often. So you weren't developing these athletes or doing them any favors, because by the time they got onto the big stage, they weren't ready for that level of competition. So we wanted to make sure we created a competitive landscape that allowed these athletes to develop from an athletic standpoint, but giving them world-class production and a platform that's globally recognized that will lift their profile and hopefully gives them the opportunity to not only excel athletically, but then to build their careers from a business standpoint. As we've been doing, we've been the leaders in the space. These athletes are so special, not only from a competitive standpoint with the respective sport, but from a brand standpoint, from a business standpoint. They have so much opportunity, and they have the ability to make an impact not only where they come from, but in the world if they do it the right way.
And talking about where they come from, it's so diverse from north, south, east, west, in the greater China region. It's just, there's so many different stories that have not been told. There's so many different types of food, music, the way people are raised or grow up. Those are interesting things, from a cultural standpoint, that to us, we see, an athlete from up north that grows up in the, the cold area, eats, barbecue. They really, they train really hard. The difference between somebody in, let's say, Guangzhou, who is kind of a city person, these are contrasts that you don't get to see on Western media as much, or global media as much. You get to see maybe within China. So I think from our standpoint, bringing the sport to the Chinese, and then also taking the Chinese culture and the sport and distributing it globally.
Creating content around that, right? Where that was the vehicle that we're referring to. You give the ability to the athlete to highlight not only their athletic ability, but where they come from, who they are, what they represent, and what part of the country they come from, and what that represents, not only from a martial arts standpoint, but from a cultural standpoint as well, as Matt was saying.
Yeah, and there was some crazy metrics, I think, from when Zhang Weili won the UFC women's strawweight title. You saw, I don't know how accurate they all were, maybe they were a bit overinflated, but mad social media metrics and millions and millions of people viewing it. Do you feel that MMA is really catching on in China now, because maybe it wasn't in the past so recently?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're starting to understand the sport a bit more, and I think there's more of it available to consume, and I think that's where we're trying to, you can't take a product from the outside and say, oh, we're going to shove this down their throats. No, you need to tailor that content to make sure that it's consumable to the way they want to consume it.
Authentic.
Yeah, and authentic, right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the authenticity of the brand and the sport and the competition and the content, I think that's where we really want to take this. And I think that will be appreciated by everybody. And when you talk about the rise in the sport in the country, we will be the leader in China.
And what I would say about China's first champion, Zhang Weili, and what that's done to the sport, and then also that same fight, Li Jingliang was actually third most trending topic across Chinese socials because he wore these glasses for his walkout, right?
Yeah.
And it really resonated with that younger demographic. And I think that's what you're starting to see. Is you're starting to see the sport to be not only accepted but understood, particularly with the younger audience within Greater China, right? And I think that's why it's catching on so much, because it has that pop culture phenomenon that is now recognized because they see their own doing it at the highest level.
Yeah. And obviously you can see Dana White wants to bring Zhang to Vegas as well to fight Joanna, and she's learning English and everything. It's pretty cool to see Chinese athletes on a stage like that, isn't it?
It's great. I mean, it's one of the things too that I got the pleasure of hanging out with Jingliang and Xiaonan, another client of ours, and China Top Team when I was in Beijing recently. And the challenge is, it's great to fight here, but when you make it to the global stage, you're going to have to go abroad and fight elsewhere, which makes it difficult from travel, weight cut, and all these different challenges that all fighters face. So on one end,
visa issues as well, right?
Visa issues. I mean, and all fighters face that, right? But so on one end, that's tough. It's uncomfortable. But when you make it to that stage, you're doing your country proud, you're doing your family proud, and you're really now starting to make an impact and achieving those career goals that lead to unimaginable scenarios for yourself or your family and your country.
Do you think it's more important to maybe fight on a local card like Zhang did in Shenzhen, than fighting in Vegas?
I think it's both. They're both important. When you
Dana
get to the world stage, they're both important, right? Because on one end, you definitely have to feed the audience here, but the UFC won't be here 10, 20 times a year.
Yeah.
You know, so at the end of the day, there's only going to be one or two fights a year that
Yeah.
they're here in China. So it's really important to incorporate their stars on those shows. But at the same time, these fighters have to fight anywhere from 2 to 4 times a year. And if they're going to grow their brand, if they're going to grow, their dominance within the sport, they're going to also have to fight abroad as well. So I think that's where Legend comes in, and that's where the opportunity, where we found we could differentiate and really find an opportunity to create a platform that is globally recognized, developing the best athletes within China, finding that next legend that's going to go on to do great things, but also helping them and build that brand, because we know how to do it, and we know how to shoot it, we know how to capture it, we know how to promote it.
Yeah, sadly, we don't really have any MMA events like on a huge scale in Hong Kong, but it's great to have something in Macau now, which seems to be a regular venue for you. Is that where you're going to base most of your shows out?
It's a great relationship with MGM that we've established over the past year or so. We look to continue that. We also look to continue to have events on the mainland because we really want to bring the product and get people excited regionally about it within China, because it's all of our audience, and so we don't want to exclude. We don't want to just go to Shanghai, Beijing, Guangzhou. We look at Chongqing, Xi'an, Haikou, these places that really athletes are from, and taking them and developing and having them have maybe a home event where they can be kind of the star. For us, that's exciting. It's fun to do.
Yeah, and I think as Matt mentioned, our goal in 2020 is to have 8 to 10 shows. The relationship with the MGM has been great, and we're looking to extend that in 2020, because we feel Macau has an element of Vegas to it, right? So if you could have a handful of shows in Macau and then spread it out throughout Greater China, then we're executing our strategy as we're planning to do.
Can you ever come to Hong Kong?
Absolutely. We have fond memories of events in Hong Kong, and so it's in the cards, and that's why we really we're looking at all over the Greater China region, and it includes Hong Kong. Absolutely. So.
Yeah, it's difficult here. We don't really have the infrastructure.
But you have the fans.
Yeah,
you do have the fans.
Yeah, and that's the infrastructure. I think it is a challenge. It's definitely a known challenge, because it's like you either go to a really small auditorium, or I heard they're building some potential new venues that we could potentially tap into in the near future.
Yeah. Where would it be? Matt Eaton on the side of the camera from Fight
Shout out to Matt.
He's ferrying these guys.
Yeah. Is it like a 50,000 and a 5,000 and a 15,000? I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
What, on Hong Kong Island or?
Over on Kowloon side.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Your end of the woods.
Near the old airport. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh well. The sports complex.
Yes.
Yeah. So
So they're building something.
But to be honest, we wouldn't mind an intimate, 1,500, 2,000 seater that serves the fans here, because
the key is the quality of the production,
exactly.
the in-venue production, not only just the broadcast element, but the in-venue production. And we're excited to host you at our event tomorrow night at the MGM
I'm going to be
Cotai.
there.
Yeah.
And you'll get to experience the level of production that we bring to the table, and that's the one thing I'm referring to, and that's very important from a competition standpoint, because a lot of these fighters, if they're fighting just these backroom or ballroom venues, they don't get the same experience and the nerves that they're going to face on the big stage. And that's very important, because you can have a fighter that competes in the gym, is whooping everybody during sparring sessions, but then they walk out come fight night, and it's like they freeze. They don't know how to handle themselves, and they're a different athlete on that night. So one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is bringing first class everything to the table, where these athletes can really develop into something special.
So what's your setup? Because I always say this about One Championship. I love they have the stage, with the ramp, and they come out like it's WWE or something. With
that's the old Pride. You remember the old Pride, and Glory does that as well. I represent Rico Verhoeven, so I was just in Holland for Rico Bader 2, and it was an amazing atmosphere. 31,000 fans screaming, and you had the stage and the walkout and the lights. So I think everybody differentiate. For us, it's really trying to make sure we highlight the athlete and where they come from, and highlight that region. Right. Again, going back to kind of how we differentiate and trying to find the authentic cultural ties of the fighter, their background, where they come from, that area's cultural nuances and or highlights that we want to refer to and or point out. I think that's important to us, how we do it. And another thing is we actually have a Sanda competition within our format.
I see. Okay.
So we usually have like a Sanda tournament whereby the athletes compete in Sanda rules, and then the winners that move on to the finals on the night will then compete in MMA rules. So we're trying to really embrace the local martial arts that's the dominant martial arts within China, and highlight that, and then show kind of the natural evolution of that sport. Right, Sanda is a great sport, but it's now evolved into mixed martial arts, which is where the appetite is globally, not only in China.
And that's something unique as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you don't see many globally distributed Sanda competitions. So I think for this one, I think it was 12 where the undercard, the prelim, was a Sanda tournament, and those gentlemen then went on to compete in the co-main event, and it was really exciting. And then on this one, we have the first competition in the main event is a Sanda event with Yu and Jie, who was our main event from last Legend 12.
Yeah, I like the way. I don't want to sound like I'm bigging up one too much, but I enjoy that they have a Muay Thai fight on the card, and then they throw in some kickboxing. It's a nice change of pace, isn't it?
Yeah, we don't want to dilute it too much, but we realize that really Sanda is such an important part of mixed martial arts in China. So we definitely want to integrate that, and it's really exciting. It's fun to watch.
What can people expect if they've not seen a Legend show? What other aspects do you guys bring?
There's a lot of entertainment integrated within the event, and the largest indoor LED screens in Asia. So we have a lot of great content that's going on there. We have a Legend ring girl, and she's not a normal ring girl. She actually appears in a ring, and I'll leave it at that. Okay. You'll have to watch or come.
Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah.
And there's a lot of different little elements that we try to integrate while not taking away from the main event, which is the fighters.
Yes, I mean that's one of the things that we as a promotion are doing. We're focusing obviously on the sporting competition as being the live event. And that's a great piece of content where we keep it fast paced. We integrate Sanda and things that are unique to Legend. But more importantly too, we're also focused on creating content outside of our events, which again highlight our fighters, help build their brand, showcase and highlight the cultural differences that all these fighters have and embrace depending on where they come from within the large footprint that is Greater China. And so those are the different parts of content that I'm excited about, because it helps highlight who these athletes are, what they do, how much they sacrifice to compete and to develop themselves to compete at this level, and then who they are and what makes them so different. And I think that's going to create a level of fandom that's really not only great for Legend, but it's great for these fighters that they'll continue to carry on throughout their entire career.
And there are some legendary coaches and people that are involved in martial arts and mixed martial arts that, whether it's in the very far north, a lady that has trained 10-year-olds, like some of the best athletes in China came from her. And these are the kind of things we'd love to highlight. We're going to highlight. We have highlighted. These are the legends of martial arts in China, and these are the fun things about our what we're doing.
Tell us a bit about the fights. What should we be looking out for tomorrow?
Well, we featuring the first female legend fight with Mao Jie and Liu Jie. It should be very exciting. Liu Jie is a little bit younger, and Mao Jie is a little bit more experienced. So it's the old versus the new, but it promises to be absolutely exciting fight. And then Yun Chun Bo, who's been on the last couple cards for us, it's extremely exciting athlete. And then Wang Yayong, who is a proven entity. They both really gun for it. And it's going to be a lot of fun. They both really, the energy level, even in the interviews that we did earlier yesterday and today, they both are just excited about this fight, and they really want to just go after it. So promises to be exciting. It's the main event, and should be fun.
How can we watch it?
So Fox Asia will be live there.
Oh wow!
NBC Sports in the United States will be I think December 29th at 4:15 p.m. In China, you can get it on Weibo, Tencent, Shanxi TV, highlights on Shenzhen TV. So we're Gadomi. So we're really working distribution. And if you're in India, you can go on India MMA India. So that's what I think 3 billion potential viewers.
Yeah. Well, what in Hong Kong? Say what would you do here? Do you know? Would we have it on Fox?
Fox Sports
Yeah,
Asia.
Fox Sports Asia.
Yeah. Would it be up to the local schedule?
Yeah, it'd be 8 p.m. Fox Sports 2, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Facebook Live as well. Facebook Live will be on Facebook Live. So both of those.
So very easy to access wherever you
Easy
are.
to access. You can access it on your phone. You can access it on TV. That's what we're really trying to do, is making sure that everybody could get it.
When are you back in 2020? Next show?
That's being developed right now and
Okay.
discussed. We will let you know soon.
Q1 2020 obviously would be the first one, but we'll stay tuned and we'll hopefully announce some news coming back on your show.
Sure. You ever bringing any of your stable of fighters to come and help promote?
Absolutely. And one of the things that I know just from our management business is a lot of our fighters have not had the opportunity to come and promote their brands. We've had one of our fighters and current champion, Israel Adesanya. He's actually fought in China several times.
Sure. His kickboxing fights.
His kickboxing career actually went to another level when he spent a lot of time here and learned how to speak the language and really loves the culture. So definitely planning on bringing some of our clients, out here just to help build their profile and promote their brands out here, but at the same time having them as guests at a Legend event as well, so they can support and catch some exciting martial arts fights and see the next talent, the up and coming talent within China.
And having those athletes at our event, the legend athletes will see that as, wow, this is they're coming to watch us.
One.
Yeah, exactly. And
he'll
be
be at this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And Zhang Tichuan, who is the first
cool.
UFC athlete in.
Can you help me get an interview with Leech?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Make sure you say hello and you get to see him while you're there.
We love the Leech at the Post. We just had him ranked number 8 in our top 20 Asian MMA fighters for next year, I think.
Awesome.
Hopefully he keeps winning.
Yeah.
He seems to have just really started to crack that the potential.
He just made it into the top 15, but he's very deserving. He should have been in it a while ago, in my opinion. But I think he's coming into his own. He's constantly developing athletically. He's showing a new athlete every time he steps in there to compete, which is very exciting. And for me, just having done this for a long time, you could always see the different athletes that separate themselves or the ones that plateau, and he's not. He's constantly just improving every time he steps in there to compete. So I'm excited for him. March 7th is another big challenge for him. I think he goes in there and he does what he has to do. Against Magny, I think he's going to prove that he's a top 10 contender, and hopefully he's fighting for a title here in the near future.
Is he watched the shows before, the Legend shows?
He absolutely has. Obviously, he's started them in the past prior to him being with the UFC.
Yeah.
But he was present at Legend 13, and he'll be at Legend 14 tomorrow as well.
And he's had a great year, hasn't he?
Great
Do you think he's your fighter of the year?
You know what? I'm very fortunate to work with some of the best fighters in the world, right? So
I don't want to put you on the spot.
to say one fighter is deserving of Fighter of the Year or not, for me, it'd be difficult, because I tend to see the greatness and the deserving factor in all of them for their own, relative achievements and or accomplishments, right? For Leech, I think he's the one that's put the MMA on the map for China.
Yeah.
I understand, and all respect goes to Zhang Weili for being the first Chinese fighter, but you cannot take that away from the Leech. I think even it goes to show how he was trending on the fight where she won the belt.
Yeah.
What type of impact he has on the sport as it relates to representing his country. So and he's in the toughest division. I think the welterweight division in the UFC is arguably the toughest division. I would say the lightweight or welterweight divisions are the two toughest divisions. You have so much depth, the greatest athletes from all around the world, right? And so hats off to him, and I'm excited where he's going.
And from a previous standpoint, as a legend athlete, it has been amazing to see his growth and how much he's changed. He was really good as he exited legend, and to see him, go from that to what he is now, just the progress is really cool.
Yeah, and Conor's back January.
Conor's back January 18th.
Donald Cerrone. I think we spoke to you, or my freelance guy Tom Taylor. You said it was coming soon. They finally announced it. He's looking good.
Yeah.
You think?
I don't say things that aren't true.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and he was trying to pull it out of me before it was ready to be discussed. But I'm excited about that. Obviously, we have Legend tomorrow night, 28th of December. I fly straight from here to Tokyo. I have Michael Venom Page and Lorenz Larkin competing at Bellator in Tokyo. Then I go home and we get ready for Conor on January 18th, which is going to be a very exciting fight against Cowboy Cerrone. And the following week, we have Bellator again in LA with Chris Cyborg in a title fight, and Dylan Dennis competing on that same card. So, and then we roll into March, right? So it's gonna be a great Q1 for us.
It's a crazy schedule for you.
Looking forward to it. We're honored. At the end of the day, we get to do something we're very passionate about. That is something that's meaningful. We get to change lives and industries through sport, and that's something that only people could only dream of. So we're very fortunate. We don't take it for granted, and I always say, the travel's heavy, but those are first world problems. So I'm not going to complain.
It's the same. I go to a few shows around the region, and you are tired, but you get to live this dream job, following this awesome show, this awesome lifestyle.
Exactly.
So Conor is. You said to us, you think he's going to be a champion again. You think?
I do.
This
I
year,
really do.
next year?
I've seen a level of fire that's been reignited within him, and I think that there's no secret in terms of how successful he's been. We've done things that nobody ever thought we could do, from the Floyd Mayweather fight to the type of contracts that he's been able to earn. We're very proud of that, right? At the end of the day, those don't come easy, but at the end of the day, those come with a lot of, I think, distractions and things that allow you to lose sight of what was really important to you. And the one thing that's exciting for me is to see he's refocused, and we all need that in life. Life is not linear. It's not black or white, and we're all gonna at times need to refocus and keep track of what's important to us. What's our purpose professionally? What's our purpose personally? And I think when you keep those two things aligned and moving in the right direction together, I think you're gonna have harmony in your life. You're gonna have happiness in your life, and that's where he is right now. He understands who he is. He understands what his purpose is professionally. He understands what his purpose is personally, and he's focused on achieving that. And that's why we've talked about this year being a season, not just one fight, not just going in after one after another. It's really focusing on what's important to him, and that's key. And I'm just so excited because I haven't seen this in a couple of years, and I'm telling people, just sit back and you'll see a performance of an old Conor, and I really believe that, because the work's being put in there, and you can't fake that.
Yeah, you say the season. There seems a couple of paths you can go down after this fight. You could stay at 170. You've got big fights there, Masvidal, Usman maybe, but you've also got the Khabib rematch. There's Justin Gaethje out there. Do you see either path is possible?
I just saw him a week ago and spent the night at his house, and we had a long night just talking business, going over some stuff, and there's so many options for him. The thing about Conor McGregor is that if he focuses on his process and what he can control, the outcome will be great no matter who's in front of him, right? So that's the key, and that's the one thing we keep talking about, and he keeps saying over and over again, and which excites me, is that he's focused on the season. He's focused on the process. He's focused on what he controls. And that's why all of them could potentially make sense. They're all exciting. So it's really what's going to motivate him and keep driving him and his ambitions to be the best him out there. And I think that then that will give the fans what they want to see. A great competition against a worthy opponent, and bringing something that is very relatable. A guy that has achieved and dreamed and dared to do something that nobody thought he could do it, but that's within all of us, right? And that's what's been so appealing about the Conor McGregor story, is that we see someone that's gone from nothing to something, and he dreamed about it, and he documented it the entire time, and he put himself out there, but he achieved it. And if he failed, he got back up, and he worked towards it again, because again, life's not black and white, and it's not all about all wins. You're gonna fall down in your face. It's about getting back up and keep going.
Would you ever like to get him involved with Legend to help promote?
Absolutely. I mean, he's the gold standard in MMA, and we'd love to have him. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say, you just see how important he still is. When the tickets went on sale, I think they were sold out in 5 minutes for the Cerrone fight. 10 million plus gate for the 4th time in his career.
And it was a very bad date.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Bad date with a short runway of when it was announced.
We know what that's
like. But, there's no denying the power of Conor McGregor, the McGregor effect of everything that he's involved with. Unfortunately, he's not only a client, but he's a business partner of mine, so we've built some great things together. And you see the power that he has in everything that he touches. And that's why he's at a stage right now where he wants to make sure that he does everything right, and he wants to focus on the process. Because at the end of the day, happiness isn't just about how much money you make. It's about legacy. It's about what type of an impact you have in something that you love dearly. He loves this sport. All these athletes put their life on the line when they get in there to compete. At the end of the day, they're so passionate about this, right? So to be able to achieve what he has not been an easy task by any stretch of the imagination. So for him right now is to making sure that he just wants to leave his mark and his legacy on his own terms, as opposed to someone else telling him how it should be.
And all these athletes in China obviously look up to Conor as being that gold standard. So,
do you think they'll ever have anyone in China on his level? Do you think that's possible to create the Chinese star?
Absolutely.
It's absolutely possible.
Absolutely possible. Look, you got to think of it. If you look at other entertainment properties, whether it's action stars from Bruce Lee to Jackie Chan, right? Those are home-born and bred stars in a different entertainment category, let's call it. Excuse me, sorry. Check 1 2. Are you still awake? Just kidding. In a different genre, let's call it, right? But sports is a form of entertainment. That content is very important. These are real life bad mofos, right? These are real amazing athletes that compete at the highest levels, but also they're brands, and so you're gonna see the ability of whether it's Zhang Weili, whether it's Jingliang, or
one of the big athletes,
an unknown superstar that's yet to be discovered, right? These athletes are going to have an opportunity to become not only superstars within China, but globally, and that could lead them into so many different areas of business and entertainment. So absolutely, there's potential for a Chinese athlete within mixed martial arts to become as big as Conor McGregor in the future.
And really, that's our goal: is who is the best in China, and let's throttle them onto the world stage.
Well, we'll see it tomorrow. Any final message to anyone who you think they need to hear what they need to hear about Legend?
Nah, it's going to be an exciting event.
Yeah.
Get to Macau. We'd love to have you.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you've got to get over to Macau to set everything up. So we'll leave it there. Thanks very much, Matt. Thank you very much, Audie. It's been a pleasure having you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah. We'll see you there. SCMP, we're going to be on the ground in Macau. It's going to be awesome. Check it out. Thanks, everyone. Remember, like and subscribe. We are SCMP Martial Arts on YouTube. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And that's that. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
12 rounds, ding ding. Sick and tired of the whole damn thing, yeah. Stick a move in the ring. You can hit me with the words you fling.